right. Hi, I'm Bailey Beasley. This is my mom, Leanne Brown. And we are excited to be doing this interview. We've got our Kleenexes ready because we're for sure going to cry.
Absolutely.
You'll also see some of my kids probably running around because if I have to do anything where I don't need kids, she's the lady I call. And so she's here and occupied, so the kids will be with us. But this is Catherine. This is our, she just turned 3 in September, and Catherine has Prader-Willi syndrome, and that's just about the least interesting thing about that child. She is fun and engaging. She's smart and beautiful, and we just adore her, and we're thankful for her lead. So we're excited to be here and talking about Catherine. Just a little bit of background on Catherine. She is the third of 4 girls. You'll notice her red hair and her, she's the third of 4 redheaded girls. So she's just fits right in with our family. When I was pregnant with her, there was nothing that we were worried about. Everything seemed normal. I had 2 other pregnancies and we had nothing to be concerned about. And when she was born, it seemed normal. And then after about 24 hours, it didn't seem normal anymore. So we started kind of going down the rabbit hole that you've all been through, looking for answers as to why she wasn't eating and why she wasn't waking up. Yeah,
It's spooky.
It's spooky. Okay. So, yeah, we started looking for answers and grew more and more worried as the time went on, and eventually got our diagnosis of Prader-Willi syndrome, and it was shocking. We're young parents and had no reason to think that anything could be going on, and yet here we are with Catherine. And the last 3 years have been challenging and scary at times, but also just so joyful to watch her overcome so much in her life. We had the added bonus of spinal meningitis when we were in the NICU with her. So we came really, really close to losing her. So every day, despite the challenges, we just feel so grateful that she's here with us, that she is learning and growing, and that we get to experience life with her. So she has an incredible support system. Catherine has, I honestly would be shocked if there's a kid out there with more people who love her. She has, 10 great grandparents and countless great aunts and uncles. She has all her aunts and uncles. She has cousins. And we are incredibly lucky that every single member of our family, which is more than 100 people that we are in close contact with, support Catherine, support her diet, support the things that we need to do for her, and support us as parents to make those decisions. She just lives in this incredibly safe world where everyone is rooting for her and willing to do whatever it takes to help her achieve just her highest potential. So, but definitely the 4 most important people in our support system are her grandparents. So she has her Lee right here. She has her Papa, who's my dad. And then I also want to throw out a shout out to Pops and Cece, who are such a critical part of our care team for Catherine. They will drop anything to come watch our girls and give us a break. And they might live 6 hours away, but they are here as often as they possibly can be. And so Richard and Cindy, thank you. We love you guys, and we're so grateful for you. But because this is my mom and my day-to-day, she lives about 6 minutes down the road from me. And she is just my person. She's my person that I call when I'm excited. She's my person that I call when I'm scared. So we're already going to start crying, so just be ready for that. Yeah. But she has from day one said, what do you need? And nobody cheers louder when Catherine does something great. And so we're just really, really grateful for our Lee. So Lee, Mom, what has it been like? So she's Catherine's not her first grandchild. We have Mary Caroline, who's 6. We have Betsy, who's 4. And then we have Helen, who's 6 months, who came after Catherine. And I will say her sisters are a pretty big part of her care team as well. They are like the best. They are the best sisters you can imagine. But Mom, do you remember when you found out I was pregnant with Catherine?
I do remember.
It was kind of crazy.
I found out here at my house.
Yeah.
I think back in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And Bailey came in, and Betsy, who was
9 months
old, had a little t-shirt on. I was like, that t-shirt looks so big on her. And I pulled the t-shirt down and it said Big Sister. And I was like, at first I thought, really, Bailey? Like, you couldn't find anything else for her to wear except Mary Caroline's old Big Sister shirt. But yeah, she was going to be a big sister. So yeah, we were very excited, very shocked just because Betsy was so little. But
Catherine's been surprising us since day one.
She absolutely has. She absolutely has. So yeah, it was my third grandbaby. So it wasn't the same. Sorry, we're playing.
There you go.
There you go.
Elmo.
Oh, Elmo. Okay. So it wasn't. There's Elmo. No.
Here, Catherine. You're okay.
It wasn't the same as the first in that, we were very surprised actually that time too. But we absolutely think Bailey and Houston are just the best parents, and they live in town. So we love all the little girls that we get to have almost an everyday part of their life. So we feel blessed.
No, it's amazing to have them. I mean, they're at soccer games. We go to church together. So y'all are just so involved in Catherine's life and her day-to-day care, and her therapists and all those different things. You're always willing. I mean, y'all take on all four of our children for us to go on vacation and different things that just make
and I'm going to give a shout out to Richard and Cindy also, because Richard and Cindy have also allowed us to take Bailey and Houston and our other kids on trips and leave the girls with them for several days at a time. And so that's been a blessing too, because it gives us a chance to be with Bailey and Houston without the girls, which I think is important. So
no, it all works so far in our family. We just have so many people. We just work together and try to make everybody have a happy, fulfilling life. And so I think, especially when we first got the diagnosis, that was something that I was so scared about, that I had these other two girls, and what was their life going to look like? What was my husband's life going to look like? I was, of course, willing to do whatever it took to be Catherine's mom and give up whatever I had to give up and make those sacrifices. But I knew that I wasn't the only one in the picture. And so what does it look like? I think so many people out there have experienced that moment of like, okay, is my whole life over? And the answer is no. If you're a new parent, the answer is no, your life is not over. Your life has so much value and meaning, and is going to be richer and deeper than you can possibly imagine right now. But a huge reason why ours is so good is because of the grandparents that are in our life and me. And so can you talk about what are your memories of NICU and diagnosis and all that? I will preface this. We got our diagnosis of spinal meningitis and a transfer to a hospital 6 hours away within 24 hours of each other. Right. So they were taking care of my big girls when this was all happening. We'd already been in the NICU for 2 weeks and would have 4 more weeks to go before we got home. So all of it is kind of blurred together with the meningitis, and it was a mess. But what are your kind of memories of our time in the hospital?
I think for me, I kind of dove into taking care of Betsy and Mary Caroline.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be terrible at this. I'm a nurse. When we were trying to, first of all, we were trying to get through meningitis, thinking we just got to get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
And I think part of me, I don't know about you, but I didn't focus on the PWS as much until we kind of got through that. But
if you can imagine, we had more critical things than PWS at the time, which is crazy to think about. But it was touch and go there for a little while. And
and Bailey being in Fort Worth, we basically had the girls here most of the time. We would go on the weekends. The people at the hotel knew us well, with our 2 little redheaded girls that looked nothing like me and my husband, getting lots of attention because we were basically staying at the hotel every weekend, coming to see Bailey, getting her out of the hospital some. As a nurse, I had heard of PWS in a little tiny paragraph in my nursing school. But like everyone, you get online and it's horrible. It's horrible. So I would encourage people to dive deeper. or just contact people at PWSA and just get, yeah, baby. Oh, sorry, I'm talking too loud.
No, the baby's sleeping.
The baby's sleeping. And I would say one of my very first conversations with someone from PWSA on the phone.
Yeah.
And giving me hope, giving me encouragement, letting me cry. But the first is such a shock. We just, yeah.
No, we couldn't believe it.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And I remember just feeling like that all of the dreams that I had started to have when I found out I was pregnant and thinking about this baby coming into our family and where she was going to fit, it felt like they just died immediately. It was like, okay, it's over. We're going to be homebound. We're going to never go on vacation again. We're going to never, where's she going to go to school? How are we possibly going to do this?
And Bailey and I are like in that we worry a long time into the future.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and our husbands both are like, what are we going to do right now?
Yeah.
What's the next step? So, but I had the same thoughts. I thought, how is this going to affect Mary Caroline and Betsy? How is this going to affect Bailey and Houston's marriage? Yeah, you know, just
all the worst thoughts you can think. We were both thinking them and horrified, and just, we loved Catherine so much, but we just didn't know what to do with this heavy news.
Right.
So yeah, it was dark. And then quickly, Catherine showed us who she is, which is this amazing little person. She beat meningitis, which no one can figure out how. She has 0 effects from meningitis, and slowly she just kind of started showing us who she really was, and it wasn't just PWS. And so Mom, what are your, like, how is she different than you thought she would be?
You mean as a newborn, or just
like now, like when you got your diagnosis and you picture like Catherine as a 3-year-old, how is she different than?
Yeah, I guess I would say she's such a normal 3-year-old in so many ways. She's, you know, I guess she didn't start walking really till
she was just after 2.
Just after 2. So there's some things that, and I'm on a Facebook group with other grandparents, and that has been a blessing too, because all of our kids are, I remember hearing, your kids will do this, they'll do these things, but it'll be on Catherine time. And so that kind of gave me this piece of not every milestone that the other girls hit. I would be like, she's going to get there. And she did. And she does. And so, yeah, baby. What do you mean?
No, we're going to go find it. Yeah.
So
I'll let you answer that question. Okay.
So yeah, Catherine is, I spend a ton of time with Catherine. I will tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to my husband. She likes me, but she's all about Papa. She is all about Papa. And so when we keep the girls, he is an absolute huge part of helping me keep them. And especially he has a really close bond with Catherine. So, you know, we celebrate everything the girls do. Mary Caroline had a great violin concert. Betsy scored a goal, but I will say I have a little extra celebration when Catherine reaches a milestone. So.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that just, I underestimated how much joy she would bring us. I thought that I would love her, of course, because I already did. She was my baby. But I thought it was going to be so much harder than it has been. And it's not that it hasn't been hard. It's just that the joy she brings us overcomes the hard every single time. So when I'm tired of, you know, doing the diet or going to therapy all the time and all these things, or making trips for doctor's appointments, she just overcomes that with just her spirit. Everybody loves Catherine. The people at school love Catherine. Yeah. She walks into a room and everybody's just like excited to see her. She makes you feel so loved. And so, you know, we're early in our journey. She's only 3, and we know that as the syndrome progresses, there are certain things that will be harder. But
Yeah, her dad always says, we haven't seen the last of the hard, but right now, whatever it is, whatever, when I say, guess what Catherine did today, or guess what her therapist said, and he'll say, and we're going to celebrate that today. I mean, we do.
She's taught us to live in the moment more. She's taught us to just not take health for granted. And in a weird way, she makes me celebrate my other kids even more too, because I'm like, when my 6-month-old just does something that's so normal and she does it without therapy, I'm like, this is amazing. She's a wonder. She's a miracle.
She's a miracle.
You know, things that used to not feel like a miracle feel like a miracle now. So that's who Catherine is for us. She's like a revealer of miracles, and has just infused our life with so much extra joy and happiness. And, you know, I think I pictured this. Oh, there goes the baby. Oh. She's gonna fall out of her bum, but like I said, she's like this strong little monkey. Yeah, she's just this like really joyful little person, who makes us proud and gives our life just extra everything, extra work and extra love and extra joy.
And Bailey hit the road hard. I mean, when we got the diagnosis, she was in NICU with Catherine she was there 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
And so, you know, I would research something and say, hey, have y'all heard of this? And she and Houston had already looked at it and
probably contacted the doctor
and got an appointment set up. And I mean, so I feel really blessed that Bailey and Houston were so, let's go do this, because I remember being at Cook and being in the little playground with the girls, and I was probably in a daze at the time, but a grandma, and the child didn't have PWS. I don't know the child's diagnosis, but the grandma just told me, she said, yeah, I've had her since she was born. My daughter just couldn't. And I thought, oh my goodness, I am so blessed to have Bailey for daughter and Houston for son-in-law that are gonna do whatever it takes for Catherine, and they have. So
yeah. So Mom, when you picture Catherine like in the future, what are your hopes for her? Like when you picture her as an adult, what do you think she's gonna be like? What do you hope she's like?
I hope that she is able to do a lot of things, live independently. Mm-hmm. I hope that she has friends.
Yeah.
I hope that she's happy.
Yeah.
And I think so there's a lot of things. I remember getting the diagnosis and thinking, Bailey and Houston's life, well, I worried about how it would affect y'all. And not that it doesn't, of course it does, but I know that if it can be done to help Catherine reach goals, they're going to do it, and we're going to help them.
Yeah, no, that's, I think when I first got the diagnosis, I was like, there was no hope for the future. There was nothing. It was just going to be this dark,
just hard life.
Yeah, a life without relief. It just, and it was for us, but mostly for her, the way they described her, her life was just so dark and so hard and so painful. And so now I just don't have that. When I picture her, and you know, it sounds silly, but like I try to visualize Catherine as an 18-year-old, as a 20-year-old. And as I've gotten to know her, and as we've gotten to like experience who she is, it's just gotten better and better what I picture. And Catherine's going to graduate from high school, and I actually really believe that Catherine's going to graduate from college. I really truly believe that, and I believe that Catherine's going to have a job that fulfills her. And mostly when I picture Catherine, I picture her surrounded by love, whether that's from us and from her sisters, but I think it's going to be more people than that. I think Catherine is going to be surrounded by love. And like, you know, so silly, but I remember thinking like, she'll never go to a birthday party. She'll never, because it was just going to be so hard. And Catherine has a birthday party on Saturday. She got invited by a kid from her school who's one of her very favorite little friends, and they love each other. And, you know, this is somebody who has no clue really about our diagnosis, or she's in our circle, so she knows that Catherine has a diagnosis and kind of has a clue that it's PWS or whatever. But when I say like, hey, what's the food? She goes, well, I know that Catherine's I have these healthy options. I have fruit, love water available. Like even like the most random people in our life are willing to accommodate Catherine and make her a part of their world. And so, you know, that if she has that, she's going to do whatever Catherine wants to do.
Bailey, you mentioned great grandparents, but I remember, hey, sweetie, I remember my mom saying she remembers you telling her, I just can't handle that she won't be happy.
Yeah.
And she's so happy.
She's so happy. Yeah. I can't,
we have bigger dreams than that now because
it started small. I just hope that she's not, it really wasn't even, I hope she's happy. I hope she's not miserable every day of her life. And Catherine is so far from miserable. And there's, you know, a happy life is not a life free of any strife. That's not happiness. That's a half life, right? So one thing my dad always says that I think has helped me, and it's been something that he said to our family for a long time, that joy and sorrow are two sides of the same coin. So like you can't have the deep, deep joy without also experiencing a measure of sorrow. They sharpen each other. And so the hard things that Catherine has brought to our life have only deepened and sharpened the joy we feel at like little everyday things. And so we're grateful for that. We're grateful that we have the drive and the ability to take care of her, that we're healthy. One thing Catherine's done for us has made us healthier for sure.
Absolutely.
Catherine makes us eat better because when we think about long term, we want to be there for her. We want to be a part of her life in a way that is helpful and that encourages her towards health. And so, you know, it just, when I really think about it, it felt like the worst thing that could possibly happen. And it's so far from, it's not the best thing. Of course we wish, of course we wish she didn't have PWS, but you know, I also used to hear like other moms, older moms on this journey say like, I wouldn't change her for the world. And I was like, that's crazy.
Right. Of course you would.
Of course you would. You would take her PWS away in just a second. But you know, the more I get into this, the more I kind of understand what they mean, in that I can't separate some of the qualities I love best about Catherine from her diagnosis, because it's all intertwined together. Some of it is PWS, some of it's not, some of it's both. Some of it's just Catherine, but we couldn't possibly know what we would take away from Catherine if we took away PWS. And so, you know, our goal as a family has changed from let's like make her as normal as possible to let's create a world in which Catherine can thrive with all of her quirks and her challenges and her loveliness.
Yes. And I think it also makes you realize some things that aren't as important with your non-PWS kids.
Yeah.
You're kind of like these mamas that get pretty riled up about something, and I think, oh,
don't worry about that.
Please don't worry about that with your 4-year-old, because, and I think I appreciate who Mary Caroline and Betsy and Helen are even more.
Yeah.
Not because they don't have PWS, but because they are individuals too, and their quirkiness and their differences, and just going, you're just a wonderful 6-year-old, and there are so many hard things, and you're just one of the wonderful things. And that's true about Catherine too, because our family has been through hard before this.
We've done hard. Yeah. I remember, I won't get too deep into it because we'll both start crying, but you'll see him back there. We had, my brother was 13 at the time. We were in a car accident and he passed away. And so I knew, I had watched my mom lose a child. And I knew how utterly devastating that has been. But I also watched my mom get out of bed every day and take care of us and love us and heal and love my dad and keep living. And so even you know, getting this diagnosis, it felt so bad, but she wasn't gone, and she wasn't going to die from PWS. She was maybe going to die from meningitis, but the PWS wasn't going to take her. And so it wasn't the worst thing that could happen, because I knew the worst thing that could happen is losing your child. And so we had kind of that background that gave us just a little more bandwidth to say, like, okay, this is so hard, but it's not the hardest.
Right.
And I also had this incredible model of a person who just gets up and does what they need to do, even though it's so hard. And so thank you for that.
I was going to say that there were absolutely, that is the hardest thing our family has been through. But when we got Catherine's diagnosis, I felt a little bit less in control.
Yeah.
Because I was, I guess I was hurting for me and you and Catherine. It was 3 generations. And it seemed very dark. And it so doesn't seem that way anymore.
No, it doesn't. And that's just the craziest thing. We don't live in fear of the future. We live aware of the future. We live aware, and we are doing everything we can right now to make that future as bright as possible. But it's not based in fear. It's based in love. It's based in love of Catherine and a hopefulness.
Oh, absolutely.
That we have for her.
Having the ability to meet other people, whether it's online or whether you're going to the conference, which that's another thing that we just kind of said, hey, every October when FWP.
PWR.
PWR meets.
The PWSA one will be this summer.
Yeah. We want to keep the kids. I want Bailey to be in contact with other mamas, and so thankful for technology that you can, because it has been good for me to see other grandparents down the road a little bit. And I remember them saying, you're going to be so surprised at how wonderful our kids are and what they can do. And I remember thinking, okay.
Yeah, right.
And now, yesterday a new mom joined, new grandma joined. And that it's true. Like, you're going to just be amazed at that little boy and what he's going to be able to do and the joy he brings you. And it's not just even, that's great for a PWS kid. It's like, that's just great. That's just a great kid.
Great. So Mom, what would be your best advice for a new grandparent?
I think for a new grandparent, I would say be careful about researching too much on the internet. Go to this source, because things have changed so much in the last 20 years. Things have changed so much faster than are in textbooks or whatever.
I mean, things have changed in the 3 years since we got our diagnosis. Right. We're on the cusp of so much.
And I guess, I think it breaks my heart to hear, and I know it's out of love. We've done differently in our treats for the girls. It takes away a little bit of being able to give them a cookie that you made or whatever, but there's so many other ways and you find those ways of being supportive. And I think I would say, trust your daughter or son and support them, because they love that baby so much, love it more than you, believe it or not. And they want to do what's best. And sometimes I think you can go like, it's not that big a deal if I do this. Well, it is if it's what your daughter or son has decided this is what we're doing. Yeah. And so for me, that's easy. If Bailey goes, this is what she can have, this is how much she eats, this is okay. And we do other treats. We do stay up and watch a movie treat. We do, sometimes the food thing is hard, but it's been so worth it to watch
her thrive.
Well, and to watch her sisters thrive without the same kind of things. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, it's just made us all better.
It's made us all better, and so I would say just do what you can. I am so blessed because I don't have a full-time job anymore, and I get to do this. And I'm also blessed that Bailey and Houston ended up moving to Midland because I'd have to live with them in a different town, and they would not like that.
No, she would be in our house all the time. But yeah, I think I would say one of the best things our parents have done for us has been to just say yes when we say this is the way it is. You know, they
don't question.
Yeah, they just have been supportive and said, we'll do, they want to be a part of Catherine's life, and they know to be a part of Catherine's life, this is the way it is. And so, so we can, I don't know. I could not say thank you enough. You know, I said I felt like my life might be over, and there's an element of my life would have been over without you. I don't know how I would have done this without you. And I have needed you my whole life. And, you know, you hope your kids need you less when they grow up. And unfortunately, I'm a needy kid. I need my mom more now than I ever did. So thank you for being so wonderful, for being so supportive and loving, for being encouraging, for being my biggest cheerleader. I do not like to picture my life without you in it. So you're the best mom in the world, and the best Lee, right, Catherine?
Well, and for a while I thought, because my husband and I had just become empty nesters basically, and we were kind of living the life. And guess what? We still are. I thought, well, I can never leave town again.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
I remember telling my husband, like, well, I'm sorry, but we will not be leaving town ever again because we will need to be in town. I'm sorry, that's how it is, you know, and that's not how it is at all. I still don't like to leave for long periods of time and you being by yourself, like if Houston's gone, but I'm getting used to it because she's a great mom and she can handle it all. I just don't want her to handle it all. I like to be able to have a Betsy day and pick up kids from school and get them places they need to do when I'm in town. So we're thankful. And I think it's made our family, I think we were already close, but I think Miss Catherine, did you eat it all?
Yeah. She makes everything better.
She makes everything better. So. She's just a blessing. So
Catherine, you want to come say hi? No, she doesn't want to, but Helen will say hi. So yeah, we're also thankful for PWSA for everything they do to support families and to connect families. The PWS community is unlike any other. I mean, we support each other and love each other.
I have been amazed.
Yeah. And as a community, we've done so much work, and we're so close to having some treatments for our kids. And I hope you feel encouraged. I know 2020 has been hard in so many ways. Yes, baby. Okay. But it's also been one of the best years ever to have PWS, in that we have so many treatments coming down the line, and the future is so hopeful. So
yeah, and I would encourage grandparents to listen to that too, because that gives, like, I'm not great about keeping up with all the research, but Bailey can give it to me in a little nutshell. And my husband and I, it's brought a whole different part of our community here in Midland into our lives. We have an incredible therapy center for Catherine that I knew it was there. I didn't pay that much attention to it, and now it's like
the best place in the world.
It's the best place in the world, and I will tell everybody, and I will always give my support to that because it is so wonderful. And so yeah, it's opened our eyes to a whole new community that has been a blessing. So
yeah. Love your people well. Enjoy the holidays with each other, and just gratitude is the best medicine for bitterness. So don't get bitter. Don't let it make you bitter. Just let it just search for the good, because there's so much good. There's so much good in all of our kids, and we're grateful that Catherine is in our life and that she's just who she is.
Best. She'll be a fly girl in a couple of weekends.
She
and
will
it's gonna
be.
awesome.
We can't wait. So, yeah. Bye.